Understood. I packed my bags. Then shut down 3. Defense plants worth 2.8 B. After the CEO fired me at 10:05 a.m. My name is Roger Sterling. I'm 47 years old, and until 28 hours ago, I was the Chief Manufacturing Operations Director at Apex Defense Systems, overseeing 3 massive aerospace facilities across the United States, generating $2.8 billion in annual defense contracts. For 25 years, I built and maintained the operational backbone that kept America's military aircraft supply chain running with Pentagon-level precision, managing everything from classified machining protocols to critical supplier relationships that most executives didn't even know existed. What I never expected was for CEO Preston Wade to decide my quarter-century of aerospace expertise was expendable at 10:05 a.m. on a Tuesday, communicated through a phone call lasting exactly 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Apparently, when you're the only person capable of coordinating 3 defense facilities, 47 major suppliers, and $280 million in active Pentagon contracts, you become too crucial to retain and too risky to fire properly. That misjudgment was about to cost Apex Defense more money than Preston Wade had made in his entire 36-year life and teach the aerospace industry a costly lesson about the difference between MBA theory and operational reality. The call that ended my career came while I was in my home office reviewing precision tolerances for a critical F-35 component shipment that needed to clear security inspection by 6 a.m. This wasn't unusual because aerospace defense operates on thousandths of an inch margins and zero defect requirements, meaning someone with top-secret clearance must monitor overnight shifts when issues arise. Someone who for 25 years had been me. Roger, this is Preston. I need to inform you of an immediate organizational restructuring that affects your position, he said, his voice carrying that exact tone young executives adopt when delivering bad news from prepared scripts, something I'd heard during the quarterly cost-cutting measures that had become routine under his leadership. What kind of restructuring, I asked, already calculating possibilities while watching real-time production data scroll across my monitors from Texas, North Carolina, and California. Your position as Chief Manufacturing Operations Director is being eliminated effective immediately. We're consolidating operational oversight under our new digital transformation initiative with AI-assisted manufacturing protocols. Digital transformation, corporate speak for we're replacing 25 years of aerospace expertise with computer algorithms and fresh college graduates who don't understand why Pentagon specifications exist in the first place. Preston, I'm managing 3 active security-level production runs and time-sensitive defense deliverables. Can this wait until normal business hours? I'm afraid not. The decision has been finalized and must be implemented immediately for administrative efficiency. He said administrative efficiency at 10:05 a.m. while defense production lines with classified protocols couldn't afford to stop for administrative convenience. Hold on a second. My CEO just fired me in the middle of active Pentagon contracts because it was administratively efficient. If you've ever witnessed this level of corporate timing, you know this story is about to become a masterclass in spectacularly expensive decision-making. Preston, who's taking over operational oversight for the current shift? There are critical security decisions that need to be made in the next 6 hours. Justin Brooks, our new VP of Digital Manufacturing Operations, will assume responsibility for all production functions. He brings extensive experience with AI-optimized manufacturing systems. Justin Brooks. I'd never heard the name, which meant he'd been hired without input from the person who actually understood Apex's defense protocols. In 25 years, I'd learned that successful aerospace operations required more than systems knowledge. They required understanding the unwritten rules, the supplier quirks, the equipment personalities that no manual could capture. Has Justin been briefed on tonight's classified production schedules and Pentagon requirements? He'll receive comprehensive digital documentation and will coordinate with our new AI systems as needed. Digital documentation for operations that required split-second decisions based on 25 years of institutional knowledge about supplier security protocols, equipment limitations, and Pentagon-specific requirements that weren't written in any manual because some things you learn by doing, not reading. Preston, Apex's defense operations aren't something you can hand off with documentation. There are classified vendor relationships, security clearance protocols, precision timing dependencies that take years to understand. Roger, we appreciate your dedication, but we have confidence in our digital transformation planning. Justin brings a fresh technological perspective to manufacturing challenges that may have become overly complex under previous management. That would be me, the ex-Navy engineer who had built Apex's operational efficiency from 78% to 99.2% over 25 years, saving the company roughly $625 million in waste, delays, and Pentagon contract penalties. But apparently, that level of performance had become overly complex for modern corporate efficiency. When does this transition take effect? Immediately. We need you to cease all operational activities and transfer access credentials to Justin by midnight. Cease operational activities. While 3 defense plants worth $2.8 billion were running overnight shifts with multiple classified processes demanding ongoing coordination, and halting security oversight in the middle of production could trigger equipment failures, contract violations, and Pentagon audits that could shut down the entire operation. Justin is fully prepared to handle any operational challenges. We wouldn't make this change if we weren't confident in the AI transition. I stared at my monitors showing real-time data from our Texas, North Carolina, and California facilities, security alerts, supplier clearance flags, precision tolerance adjustments, dozens of decisions needing someone who understood how classified aerospace manufacturing actually worked rather than how it looked on paper. I understand, I said, because arguing with Preston Wade had never accomplished anything in the past, and it wasn't going to start now. Do you need me to brief Justin on current operational status? That won't be necessary. He prefers to assess situations independently using our new AI diagnostic systems rather than inherit previous management assumptions. Previous management assumptions like knowing which suppliers required security escort protocols, which equipment needed continuous monitoring for Pentagon compliance, and which clients had zero tolerance for precision deviations measured in thousandths of an inch. You know, the kind of details that separate successful defense manufacturing from expensive failures. I'll transfer my access credentials within the hour, I said. Excellent. HR will contact you tomorrow about transition documentation and final administrative details. The line went dead at 10:09 a.m. 4 minutes and 12 seconds to erase 25 years of aerospace expertise in the middle of managing active Pentagon contracts. I stared at the phone for a moment, thinking about how Preston had just made the kind of decision that looked brilliant in quarterly earnings reports but disastrous in real-world operations. I leaned back in my chair, staring at screens full of classified data that would soon belong to someone else. 25 years of building relationships with Pentagon procurement officers, learning the quirks of every supplier, understanding which equipment threw tantrums on humid days, all of it now considered overly complex by a 36-year-old MBA who'd probably never set foot on a production floor. Justin Brooks, whoever he was about to learn that managing Apex's defense operations required more than AI systems and fresh technological perspectives. But that was Preston Wade's decision, not mine. He had decided operational expertise was expensive and replaceable with technology. Now he was about to discover just how costly that assumption could be when the Pentagon gets involved. You know what's fascinating about midnight terminations in the defense industry? They usually happen when leadership wants to avoid the questions that experienced engineers ask during normal business hours. Questions like who's going to handle the classified protocols, and what happens when the AI systems encounter scenarios they weren't programmed for. Questions that tend to expose just how little corporate executives actually understand about the operations they're so eager to streamline. If you're curious what those scenarios look like when they play out in real time, stick around because Justin Brooks was about to get a very expensive education in the difference between theoretical knowledge and practical expertise. The transition process was surreal, like being asked to perform surgery on yourself. At 11:47 p.m., I began systematically transferring access credentials for systems I'd built, optimized, and monitored for over 2 decades. Classified production dashboards that showed real-time status across 3 states, security-cleared supplier networks that took years to establish and maintain, precision equipment diagnostic systems that could predict failures before they happened, Pentagon compliance protocols that ensured every component met military specifications. These weren't just computer systems. They were the nervous system of a $2.8 billion operation that kept American military aircraft flying. Each system transfer felt like disconnecting life support from a patient who still needed intensive care while hoping the replacement doctor had read the manual. At 12:23 a.m., my phone rang. An unknown number with the Apex exchange, which told me everything I needed to know about how this transition was going. Mr. Sterling, this is Justin Brooks. I understand you've been managing overnight operations. I wanted to introduce myself and get a quick briefing on current status. Justin sounded exactly like I'd expected. Mid-20s, confident in that way that comes from academic success rather than real-world experience, with that slight edge of someone trying to sound more knowledgeable than they actually were. The kind of voice that comes from managing civilian production, where close enough might actually be close enough, but had never dealt with Pentagon inspectors who measured success in thousandths of an inch. Hello, Justin. I've transferred all access credentials as requested. You should have full operational oversight now. Great. Can you give me a quick overview of what's happening tonight? Any immediate concerns I should know about? I glanced at the monitors I was no longer authorized to access, screens that had been my window into 3 critical facilities for the past quarter century. You'll need to check the classified production dashboards for current status. I'm no longer involved in operational decisions. Right, of course. But just to get oriented, are there any critical issues I should prioritize? The question confirmed what I suspected. Justin had been handed responsibility for Pentagon contracts with zero preparation for the specific challenges he was inheriting. In the civilian world, you can learn on the job, make adjustments, figure things out as you go. In defense manufacturing, learning on the job gets you audited by federal investigators who don't accept we're still learning as an excuse for compromised national security. Justin, I'd recommend reviewing the current classified production schedules, checking security-cleared supplier delivery status, and monitoring precision tolerance alerts. The Texas plant has timing issues with the F-35 components that need resolution by morning shift. North Carolina has a security flag on the C-130 parts that requires Pentagon liaison coordination, and California is dealing with a supplier clearance delay affecting tomorrow's drone assembly schedule. Okay, Texas, North Carolina, California. F-35, C-130, drones. Got it. Anything else I should watch for? Anything else? 25 years of Pentagon-level operational knowledge condensed into a casual question. It was like asking a brain surgeon if there's anything else you should know before performing neurosurgery, or asking a pilot if there's anything else about flying you should mention before takeoff. You'll want to monitor the overnight shift supervisors. They handle routine decisions, but security escalation protocols require operational oversight for any non-standard situations. The Pentagon doesn't accept delays due to communication breakdowns. Perfect. And if I have questions, can I reach you tonight? I paused, recalling Preston Wade's 10:05 a.m. call and his absolute confidence that AI systems could manage defense operations independently. Justin, I'm no longer employed by Apex as of 2 hours ago. You'll need to coordinate with plant managers and the AI systems for operational support. The silence lasted long enough for me to wonder if the call had dropped, or if Justin was finally grasping the reality of his situation. You're no longer employed as of tonight? I thought I was taking over from you tomorrow. You took over at midnight when I transferred access credentials. Another pause. Longer this time. I could almost hear the wheels turning as he realized that Preston Wade had handed him responsibility for $2.8 billion worth of active Pentagon contracts without any transition period whatsoever. Mr. Sterling, I think there may have been some miscommunication. I wasn't expecting to start tonight. I haven't reviewed current operations or been briefed on security protocols. And there it was. Preston Wade had fired the person managing active Pentagon contracts and handed responsibility to someone unprepared to take over in the middle of classified production runs that couldn't afford disruption. It was like removing the pilot from a commercial aircraft mid-flight and expecting the autopilot to handle everything, including the stuff autopilot was never designed to manage. Justin, I'd recommend contacting Preston Wade or HR to clarify your responsibilities and timeline. I'm no longer in a position to provide operational guidance. Right. Okay. Thank you for the information. After hanging up, I sat in my dark office thinking about the defense facilities now running without the security oversight they had relied on for 25 years. 3 plants worth $2.8 billion managing classified operations with zero defect requirements and Pentagon compliance standards that didn't accept excuses. Now under the supervision of someone who hadn't expected to start until tomorrow, and AI systems that had never handled real crises involving national security. Preston Wade had wanted immediate digital transformation. He was about to get a very expensive lesson in the difference between technological convenience and operational reality when dealing with the Department of Defense. My phone buzzed with notifications from plant supervisors seeking operational guidance, messages I was no longer authorized to answer for operations I was no longer responsible for. Each notification felt like a cry for help that I legally couldn't respond to, even though I knew exactly what needed to be done. I turned off my phone and went to bed. Whatever happened next was Justin Brooks and the AI system's responsibility. You ever notice how the worst workplace disasters always happen when the people who actually know what they're doing aren't allowed to help fix them? That's exactly what was about to unfold at Apex. The first crisis hit at 4:17 a.m., which I knew because my personal phone began ringing with calls from plant supervisors who had my direct number for security emergencies, but apparently couldn't reach Justin or get responses from the AI systems. These weren't social calls. These were the kind of calls that happened when million-dollar equipment started acting up, and the guy supposedly in charge wasn't answering his phone. I didn't answer any of them. As much as it killed me to ignore people I'd worked with for years, I was no longer employed by Apex, and answering those calls could create legal complications for everyone involved. By 6:30 a.m., I had 23 missed calls and 31 text messages from various Apex employees, ranging from shift supervisors asking for classified protocol guidance to plant managers requesting clarification on Pentagon delivery priorities. Questions that should have gone to Justin Brooks and his AI systems, but apparently weren't being answered. The pattern was becoming clear. When things got complicated, people called the person who actually knew what to do, not the systems that were supposed to replace him. At 7:45 a.m., Preston Wade called my personal phone. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Roger, we have some operational issues that require your immediate assistance. Good morning, Preston. I'm no longer employed by Apex as of 10:05 a.m. yesterday. You'll need to coordinate operational support through Justin Brooks and your digital transformation initiative. Justin is having some difficulty getting oriented with the AI systems. Difficulty getting oriented? 8 hours after taking responsibility for $2.8 billion worth of Pentagon contracts. That's like saying a pilot is having difficulty getting oriented with the controls while the plane is already in the air and passengers are asking why we're not climbing. Preston, you terminated my employment for digital efficiency reasons. I'm not available for transition assistance. This is temporary consultation work. We're prepared to pay emergency consulting rates. Emergency consulting rates for fixing problems created by firing me in the middle of active defense operations. The irony wasn't lost on me. Yesterday I was overhead, today I was a premium service. I'm not available for consulting work. I'm exploring other opportunities. Other opportunities? Yes. Pentagon-level aerospace expertise becomes highly sought after when it suddenly becomes available. What I didn't mention was that my phone had been ringing since 6 a.m. with calls from Apex's competitors, all of whom had heard through industry channels that I was no longer with the company. Aerospace defense is a smaller community than most people realize, and news travels fast when someone with my security clearance and track record becomes available. Word was already out that Apex had made their lead operations guy available, and other companies were circling like sharks. Roger, we need to discuss this situation. Can you come in this morning? I don't think that would be appropriate. Justin Brooks and your AI systems are fully prepared to handle operational challenges. According to yesterday's conversation, they bring fresh technological perspectives that were going to streamline everything. The situation has become more complex than the digital models anticipated. More complex than anticipated. Translation: everything was falling apart without the person who actually understood how Pentagon contracts worked, and the AI systems that were supposed to replace institutional knowledge were discovering that some knowledge can't be programmed. I'm sure Justin and the AI will figure it out. They bring fresh technological perspectives to operational challenges, remember? Sometimes it just takes a little time to optimize the algorithms. The complete collapse of Apex Defense's operations took exactly 22 hours and 15 minutes. I watched it unfold from my favorite coffee shop in downtown Charlotte, deliberately staying visible while 3 production facilities worth $2.8 billion learned what happens when operational expertise is eliminated for digital efficiency. Part of me felt guilty for enjoying it, but a bigger part of me felt vindicated after being dismissed as overly complex. The first domino fell at 9:47 a.m. when the Texas plant's precision assembly line shut down due to what Justin later described as unexpected AI calibration issues. In operational terms, this meant the AI systems couldn't grasp the delicate tolerance requirements I'd developed for coordinating 3 different security-cleared suppliers with Pentagon specifications. Here's the thing about defense manufacturing. Civilian tolerances and military tolerances are completely different animals. When Supplier A's components arrived within normal commercial tolerances, the AI approved immediate processing without realizing Pentagon specs required additional precision verification for F-35 components. The system saw within tolerance and gave the green light, not understanding that good enough for civilian use and good enough for military aircraft are separated by about 5 levels of additional quality control. The result was 147 F-35 parts manufactured outside acceptable tolerances, triggering automatic quality flags and a Pentagon compliance review. What should have been routine production became a 6-hour shutdown, delaying critical defense deliveries and costing approximately $1.8 million in missed contract targets. The second domino fell at 2:15 p.m. when the North Carolina plant's security protocols flagged unauthorized access during component inspection. The problem wasn't with actual security breaches, but with Justin's decision to override the specialized clearance procedures I had developed for classified suppliers. Hartwell Aerospace had a 15-year history of requiring escort protocols for their security-sensitive components. I had learned this through years working with their Pentagon liaisons and had created clearance procedures that maintained chain of custody for classified materials. These weren't arbitrary rules. They were the result of a security incident in 2011 that had cost another contractor their clearance for 6 months. Justin apparently deemed these protocols unnecessarily complex and instructed the North Carolina team to use standard AI-guided procedures. The result was a security violation that triggered an immediate Pentagon audit and suspension of top-secret facility certification. Here's something business schools don't teach you about defense manufacturing. When you lose your security clearance, you don't just lose current contracts, you lose the ability to bid on future ones. That certification had taken Apex 8 years to achieve and millions in facility upgrades. One AI decision had just put all of that at risk. By 4:30 p.m., the California plant was experiencing what Pentagon auditors call a cascade security failure. Justin had tried to compensate for the Texas and North Carolina issues by accelerating California's production schedule using AI optimization, without realizing California's operations were specifically calibrated to support classified coordination between all 3 facilities. California didn't just manufacture components, it produced specialized subassemblies required by both Texas and North Carolina under strict security protocols. When the AI ordered California to prioritize their own deliveries over supporting the other plants, it unknowingly severed the security protocols that kept all 3 facilities synchronized for Pentagon compliance. You see, the AI was thinking like a civilian efficiency expert. If Plant A and Plant B are having problems, make Plant C work harder to compensate. But in defense manufacturing, all 3 plants were part of one integrated security system. Breaking that integration didn't just hurt efficiency, it compromised national security protocols. The result was California producing components Texas and North Carolina couldn't use under current security classifications, while Texas and North Carolina waited for components California wasn't producing according to classified specifications. By 6 p.m., all 3 plants were operating at less than 25% capacity with security protocols completely misaligned with Pentagon requirements. I learned the full scope of the crisis from an unexpected source, Carlos Mendez, my former operations manager, who called my personal phone at 6:47 p.m. Roger, I probably shouldn't be calling you, but the situation here is completely insane. Justin has been in emergency meetings all day, and no one knows how to fix what's happening. What exactly is happening? I asked, though I already knew the answer. All 3 plants are basically shut down. Texas can't finish the F-35 order. North Carolina scrapped an entire production run, and California is making parts that nobody needs under current security classifications. The plant managers are asking for guidance, but Justin keeps saying he needs time to recalibrate the AI systems. while $2.8 billion worth of production infrastructure sat idle because the algorithms couldn't handle real-world Pentagon complexity. You know what you can't recalibrate? 25 years of relationship building and institutional knowledge. Has anyone contacted the clients about delivery delays? That's the worst part. Justin says we should wait until tomorrow to see if the AI optimization improves before notifying the Pentagon. But Roger, we're talking about F-35 components and drone assemblies. These aren't commercial products that can be delayed without consequences. No, they weren't. Pentagon contracts operate on national security timelines with zero tolerance for supplier failures. Missing delivery commitments didn't just cost money. It compromised mission readiness and damaged relationships that had taken decades to build. Carlos, I appreciate you calling, but I'm not in a position to provide guidance anymore. I know. It's just, everyone's asking what you would do in this situation. Carlos, the situation will resolve itself one way or another. Justin has the authority and responsibility to make operational decisions now. But what if he can't fix it? That was the question Preston Wade should have asked before eliminating the person who actually knew how to prevent these problems in the first place. The Pentagon response was swift and devastating. By Thursday morning, Apex received formal notices of contract review from the Department of Defense, citing security protocol violations and quality control failures. The F-35 Program Office issued a stop work order pending investigation. The drone assembly contract was suspended indefinitely. Within 72 hours, Apex had lost $280 million in active defense contracts and faced potential loss of their security clearances, the foundation of their entire business model. Stock prices dropped 11% on investor concerns about Pentagon relationships, while competitors' shares rose on speculation that Apex's problems would drive business elsewhere. But the knockout punch came from the clients themselves. The Pentagon didn't just cancel contracts. They issued what amounted to a warning letter stressing the critical importance of operational reliability in national defense supply chains. In defense industry terms, that was like being put on probation by your most important customer. Meanwhile, my phone hadn't stopped ringing. North Star Aerospace offered me a position as Senior VP of Operations with responsibility for building their new defense manufacturing division. They'd been trying to break into Pentagon contracts for years and needed someone who understood both the technical requirements and security protocols. The offer was everything I'd ever wanted: respect for my expertise, resources to build operations properly, and leadership that understood the difference between cost-cutting and capability building. The call I'd been expecting came Friday evening, not from Preston Wade this time, but from Apex's board of directors, represented by Chairwoman Helen Porter. Mr. Sterling, I'm calling to discuss a potential consulting engagement that would help Apex address some operational challenges we're experiencing. Consulting engagement. Corporate speak for please fix the disaster we created by firing you. What kind of challenges are you experiencing? Multi-facility coordination issues affecting production efficiency and Pentagon compliance. The board believes your expertise could help resolve these complications. 72 hours of production failures that had cost millions in lost revenue and damaged relationships with the Department of Defense. Mrs. Porter, what specifically is Apex looking for in this consulting arrangement? Immediate operational assessment and recommendations for stabilizing production across all 3 facilities. We're prepared to offer premium consulting rates for expedited service. Premium consulting rates for fixing problems that wouldn't exist if they hadn't eliminated the person who actually prevented them. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not available for consulting work. Not available, Mr. Sterling? We're talking significant compensation for helping resolve a temporary situation. I'm not available because I've accepted a position elsewhere. North Star Aerospace offered me a role as Senior VP of Operations with responsibility for building their new defense manufacturing division. The silence on the other end told me everything. North Star was Apex's largest competitor, and they had just hired away the person who understood Apex's operational vulnerabilities better than anyone. Mr. Sterling, surely we can discuss terms competitive with any other offer. Mrs. Porter, 4 days ago, Apex fired me at 10:05 a.m. for digital efficiency. Today you're offering premium rates to fix the problems that decision created. What's changed isn't my availability. It's your understanding of what operational expertise is actually worth. 6 months later, under my guidance, North Star won the contract to supply the next generation of drone components, a $1.6 billion deal that Apex had been favored to win before their security reliability came into question. I received a final contact from Apex 14 months after my termination. Preston Wade, calling from what sounded like a much smaller office, requesting a meeting to discuss lessons learned and potential future collaboration. I declined politely. Some lessons are too expensive to teach twice. Preston Wade never recovered professionally. After losing his Pentagon contracts, he spent 18 months in consulting before taking a significantly reduced role at a civilian manufacturing company. Industry colleagues later told me he became obsessed with operational documentation and knowledge retention. Lessons learned too late. The acquisition announcement included a telling detail. The new owner's first priority was rebuilding operational expertise and supplier relationships compromised during recent digital transformation initiatives. I kept one memento from my Apex years: my top secret security badge, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that real expertise isn't overhead. It's the foundation that everything else depends on. Sometimes the most expensive business education comes from learning the difference between having operations and understanding them. Preston taught me that expertise can't be digitized and then rented back when convenient. North Star taught me that the right leadership recognizes operational knowledge as strategic advantage rather than administrative cost. They fired me to streamline operations with AI. Instead, they learned that some operations require human expertise to function, and some expertise can't be replaced with algorithms and good intentions. The education cost them $2.8 billion in operational capability and their Pentagon relationships, but it was priceless for everyone who learned that cutting operational expertise doesn't optimize anything. It just ensures that someone else will profit from opportunities you can no longer manage. In the end, I learned that true operational excellence isn't about having the newest technology. It's about having people who understand why that technology exists in the first place. Preston Wade thought he was eliminating overhead when he fired me, but what he actually eliminated was the institutional memory that kept $2.8 billion worth of operations from becoming a very expensive lesson in why experience matters.